Hello friends, it's Mr. Wilson, and we are going to be reading Detective LaRue, Letters from the Investigation, written and illustrated by Mark Teague. So that means that Mark wrote and drew the pictures of this book. So this begins our mystery unit. Okay. So, we're going to read some well-plotted, suspenseful, and sometimes silly stories featuring characters who use logic and luck to solve their mysteries. So, this one is featuring a dog. So, this is, some things could happen in real life, like the mystery part, but a dog being a detective is fake. We won't see dogs being detectives. Now, they can help the police, but they're not talking and writing letters like we're going to see in this book. So, a summary of this book is that Ike LaRue, which is this dog right here, is a dog who dislikes the cats next door. When the cats go missing, Ike is arrested as a suspect. Through letters to his vacationing owner, Ike tells his side of the story. Through the illustrations show a slightly different take on what's actually happening. Ike plays detective to find the cats and is surprised to uncover more crime. Will Ike be able to crack the case? I don't know. Let's find out together. So, Detective LaRue. So we're going to have two types of things in this story. We're going to have newspaper articles, and then we're going to have some letters, okay? So if you remember, we read this book last year during our letter writing unit, but now we are reading it for mystery and to work on summarizing. So here we go. The Snort City Register Gazette, September 30th. So that's when this article was written. Hibbins cats missing. Dog suspected. It is a possible case of feline foul play. 2 Snort City cats were reported missing yesterday, and hours later, a neighborhood dog was captured by police. Although there was no sign of forced entry, the cats were apparently abducted from their 2nd Avenue apartment. I simply can't imagine them leaving on their own, said owner Leona Hibbins. My darlings wouldn't dream of upsetting me like that. Supporting Mrs. Hibbins' theory was the capture of Gruber Park of local dog Ike LaRue, whom police described as suspicious. LaRue was apprehended while attempting to bury a bag of cat treats. Ike has always had it in for my cats, said Mrs. Hibbins, citing an altercation on the building's fire escape 2 winters ago. Police blotter, January 16th. I just want to know what he did with them this time. The dog's owner, Gertrude R. LaRue, is currently vacationing in Europe. Ike will be detained at police headquarters pending further investigation. Dear Mrs. LaRue, October 1st. So this is now his letter. So remember, we have our date, we have our opening, our heading, then our body, and then our closing and our signature, right? Dear Mrs. LaRue, I hate to disrupt your vacation, but you must return immediately. An unfortunate misunderstanding, as well as very sloppy police work, has landed me in jail. The case involves the Hibbins cats, who have mysteriously disappeared. As usual, everyone blames the dog, without even considering whether the cats might be guilty of something. Needless to say, reports that I was attempting to steal their strangely yummy cat treats are entirely false. Come home now. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. This must seem sadly familiar. So, how does the letter give different information than a newspaper article? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. How does our first newspaper article and our first letter give us different information? Well, the newspaper article gives Mrs. Hibbins' point of view because that's who the police interviewed. Okay? And then in the letter to Mrs. LaRue, Ike tells the owner that that he's innocent. So this is his point of view. This is what he is wanting his owner to know. Okay? while Mrs. Hibbins is the one who's influencing the article. So this is what, the black and white is what he's typing in the letter, but what's really happening is he's sitting there with a bone and some coffee and a donut, okay? So he's actually sitting with the police. He's not hanging out in a jail cell with a mouse. October 2nd, Dear Mrs. LaRue, the police continue to interrogate me about what happened to the Hibbins cats. I wish I knew. The last I saw them, they were sunbathing in Gruber Park. I went to retrieve their cat treats, which they had foolishly left by the swings. When I returned, they were gone. I know Mrs. Hibbins is upset, but I'm sure she'll get over it. Between you and me, they weren't very good cats. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. Imagine how I feel cooped up inside the loathsome dungeon. So, Ike calls the police station a loathsome dungeon. By looking at this picture in the collar section, does it look like he's in a loathsome dungeon? No, what does it look like he's doing? He's playing cards with the police officer. He's not in a loathsome dungeon. Okay? So it looks like he's having fun. It looks like he doesn't even care. October 3rd, Dear Mrs. LaRue, if you really want to know why I was in Gruber Park, the truth is that I was doing Mrs. Hibbins a favor. The cats had threatened to damage her apartment, as only cats can, unless I let them out for some fresh air. Reluctantly, I agreed. Now it appears they had more in mind than a simple walk in the park. My kindness was repaid with deception. I have learned my lesson. Regretfully yours, Ike. P.S. No, I do not think it would be best for me to remain with the nice police until you finish your vacation. Okay, so now what's he playing? He's playing checkers. Okay, and over here, and what he's writing about, the cats were destroying the apartment. Okay. October 4th, Dear Mrs. LaRue, I can't begin to tell you how dire the situation has become. Mrs. Hibbins insists that I am responsible for losing her cats. Plus, she has managed to convince everybody that they were rare and valuable. Nobody stops to consider how unlikely that is. But nothing is being done to find them. Apparently, it's easier for some people to blame a dog than to solve a crime. In fact, the police claim to be working on another case entirely. It looks like I will have to take matters into my own hands, into my own paws, and solve this mystery myself. Your intrepid dog, Ike. P.S. Besides, it has become shockingly apparent that you do not intend to come get me. So he's getting coffee poured into a cup, reading the newspaper article. Okay. Ooh, but down here it says more canaries stolen. So some canaries have been stolen. No news on cats. Dogs still blamed. So he's still there. He's still being blamed. And it looks like he has a reward poster. Let's see what happens. Oh, we have another newspaper article. The Snort City Register-Gazette, October 5th. LaRue flees custody. Cat still missing. Just days after being captured, local dog Ike LaRue apparently escaped from police headquarters yesterday. He sort of just walked out, admitted Officer Louis Sparky Waldorf. LaRue is considered a suspect in the earlier disappearance of two cats belonging to Leona Hibbins of 2nd Avenue. Waldorf acknowledges that the investigation into that case has been stalled. We've all been distracted by the canary burglaries. Until we can establish who's been stealing these birds, I'm afraid we won't be able to focus on Hibbins' cats. For more on the canary, see page A1. As for LaRue, Waldorf speculated that the dog will return as soon as he gets hungry. So this is the article from A1. Canary burglars strike again. Snort City police report that 2 canaries and a myna bird were stolen from the Birdland pet store on Flopworth Street last night. The burglary closely resembles thefts from other stores this week and may mark the beginning of a major crime spree. Investigators admit to being completely baffled. We can't figure out who would commit such crimes, said Chief Detective Mavis Bickle. So, why do you think the author included the article on the canary burglaries? Do you have any predictions about why it might be important? Do you think an article might be connected to the cats being missing? Cats like birds, so maybe it's a clue that they're linked together? Oh, I don't know. Cats like to chase birds, so maybe the cats have something to do with the canaries being gone. Okay, let's keep reading. Let's see what happens. Dear Mrs. LaRue, October 6th, South Snort City. Yes, I have escaped. Furthermore, my search for Hibbins' cats has taken me into an awful part of town. Here, cats roam the streets freely, day and night, howling, knocking over trash cans, and clawing people's ankles as they walk by. It's a terrible place, Mrs. LaRue, but by handing out a few cat treats, I've been able to turn up some very interesting facts. For instance, did you know that cats regularly capture and eat small animals? I had no idea. I will tell you more as the case begins to unfold. Sincerely, Ike. P.S. Imagine the danger and hardship. So remember, this is what he is writing, but this is what he's doing. So he's not really out there scrounging the streets. He looks like he's in the Snort City Plaza Hotel. October 7th, South Snort City. Dear Mrs. LaRue, today my investigation led me to a pigeon named Rocco who told me that half his family was lost in attacks by, you guessed it, cats. It seems that even our lovely feathered friends are not safe from these little monsters. It's clear to me that I must find Mrs. Hibbins' cats quickly, for the good of the city. Yours truly, Ike. So it shows that he's concerned, but he's really taking a bath. He is a goober. October 8th, Trundlebrook. Dear Mrs. LaRue, I followed a tip up here to Trundlebrook Cattery. I wanted to find out if valuable cats behave any better than the little brutes I've been seeing downtown. Clearly they do not. In fact, I was told that the only way to keep small animals safe is to keep cats inside. Sincerely, Ike. So here, he's in a hotel, getting room service, reading a book about show cats of the world, where in the picture, he said that cats aren't safe outside, aren't keeping small animals safe. So we're gonna read first. October 9th, back in Snort City. Dear Mrs. LaRue, the news today is all about the latest canary burglary. Only this time, the criminals made off with 2 parrots and a gerbil as well. Have you noticed that this terrible crime wave began just after the Hibbins cats disappeared? It isn't a pleasant thought, but of course, a dog must follow his instincts. Yours, Ike. So they're talking about more canary burglaries, and he is telling her that he's trying to solve it. So all these different words talk about him trying to solve the case, supposedly. October 10th, from an undisclosed location. So undisclosed means he's not saying where he's at. Dear Mrs. LaRue, welcome home. I wish I could be there to greet you properly, but as you know, I am on the lam. Until I can solve this case, I must remain in hiding. It is a situation rife with intrigue and danger. As I close in on the culprits, the police remain intent on catching me. Unfortunately, they have no idea who the real criminals are. As long as they continue to regard the cats as innocent victims, they'll be barking up the wrong tree. Perhaps I can think of some ways to tip them off. Your sleuth, Ike. So why do you think the illustrations are different from what he's saying? Do you think he wants Mrs. LaRue to feel sorry for him? Do you want Do you think that he wants Mrs. LaRue to think he's being a good boy? I don't know. Or maybe it's because the author is using two styles of illustrations to add some humor. Okay? So look, these cats kind of make me laugh because they're wearing masks. And they're obviously sneaking somewhere. And a dog's using a telescope. That's silly. October 11th, Gerber Park outside the small pet emporium. Dear Mrs. LaRue, just this morning I discovered that the very first canary burglary was here, on the night of my arrest. Apparently, the sneaky villains climbed the first escape at the small pet emporium and made off with 6 plump birds. To think that I was the unwitting pawn in their wicked scheme. But I've heard that all criminals always return to the scene of the crime. And if that's true, I have a feeling the Hibbins cats will be here shortly. I just called the police. Wait, I think I see them going up the fire escape. Gotta go. Ike. Snort City Register Gazette, October 12th. Cats rescued. LaRue saves day. Responding to an anonymous tip, Snort City Police rushed last night to the small pet emporium where they were able to assist hero dog Ike LaRue in his rescue of 2 lost cats. The cats, beloved pets of local resident Lorena Hibbins, had been missing for 12 days. Though clearly traumatized by their ordeal, they apparently appeared healthy and very well fed. LaRue apparently found the cats clinging to a fire escape and was able to hold them until police arrived. To tell the truth, we had considered the dog a suspect, especially after he escaped, said Chief Detective Mavis Bickle. We see now that he was simply determined to save his little friends. He was searching for cats all week, confirmed the dog's owner Gertrude R. LaRue, who recently returned from France. I'm proud of my Ike. Even Mrs. Hibbins, who had been critical of LaRue prior to the rescue, was full of praise. I completely misjudged him, she admits. I never knew he cared so much about my cats. And then it says, lucky cats happy to be rescued by police. Do they look happy to you? They don't look happy to me. They're probably mad that they got caught trying to steal more birds. October 12th, Police Headquarters. Dear Mrs. LaRue, unfortunately, you can't believe everything you read in the newspaper. Though they portrayed my heroism nicely, I'm afraid the police completely misjudged the situation. Instead of making an arrest, they made a rescue. Oh well, somehow humans are never able to see the truth about cats. For me, that's the real mystery. Anyways, the police are a swell bunch. I have no more hard feelings about what's happened. See you soon, Ike. The Snort City Register Gazette, October 20th. LaRue named honorary detective. Dog praised in police ceremony. In a ceremony at City Hall yesterday, local dog Ike LaRue was presented with a detective's badge and was cheered wildly for his role in rescuing 2 cats earlier this month. What he did there was first-rate police work, said Chief Detective Mavis Bickle. I'm sure he'll be a credit to the force. Their ceremony was made possible by an almost complete absence of crime over the last few days. Even the canary burglaries seem to have ended, said Bickle. We've had a lot of free time on our hands. See story page 2A. Mayor Mitzi Slepper agreed. Nothing else is happening, she said. It seemed like a good time for a ceremony. When asked what duties Ike LaRue might be expected to perform, Detective Bickle smiled. If he keeps an eye on those wonderful cats, she said, that'll be enough for us. Grateful cats embraced their hero. They look scared and like, why are you hugging me? Oh my goodness. So, that was our read aloud story, Detective LaRue. Okay, so what you're going to do now, you are going to go to Lit Pro and you are going to answer the Think More questions about this story. You may rewatch this story again before you take it, but before the end of the day or the end of the week, you need to take that quiz on Lit Pro. Okay? So remember, if you have any questions about this story or if you have any questions about the Think More or Lit Pro. Remember, you can reach me at email, Facebook, or Remind. I will see you guys soon. Bye.